Hello, everyone. My name is Brett Bieber, and this is a recording from a 2024 Summit presentation named Revolutionizing Events, Unleashing the Potent Force of Independent Subqueries. On our agenda today, we're going to do some short introductions of both speakers, both myself and Clinton Midkiff from Cleveland State University, followed up by different ways that we can utilize these independent subqueries, and then how we can use these independent subqueries to enhance our event communications, queries, and portals, followed by the Q&A section slide. So some short introductions. Clinton Midkiff is the Assistant Director of Admissions, Communications, and Operations at Cleveland State University. He has been a Slate user since 2014. He has been with Cleveland State University since 2016. He's been a Carnegie partner since 2020, and he is the innovative and inquisitive adventurer. My name is Brett Bieber, and I am a Slate Communications strategist here at Carnegie. I have been a Slate user since 2020. I have been with Carnegie since November 2023, and I am the clever and confident producer. So the driving point of today's presentation is going to be focused around independent subqueries. And so before we move into the use cases, first I want to talk about how to create them, what they are, exports, filters, outer joins, and really how we can make these independent subqueries work to our advantage. So what is an independent subquery? Well, independent subqueries are queries that become available for use that are not directly related to the original base selected. So typically, whenever we open up a subquery on the left-hand side, we can see here that we have a type of dependent subquery. And what this means is that any type of join that we would make has to be directly dependent on the original base chosen. However, on the right-hand side, we can see that we have changed the type from dependent subquery to independent subquery. At this point, we have an opportunity to choose a new category and a new base. In this example, we're going to create an entirely new, smaller query within our subquery based on the person base. So what is the value of this? Well, typically, and as we've said before, we can only portray or utilize data that is directly related to the original base chosen, which is called a dependent subquery. However, these independent subqueries bypass the requirement of being directly related to the original base. We have a few examples today that we'll go over during the presentation. However, these examples are not the limits to the power of independent subqueries. The inherent value is full functionality of an upcoming event newsletter, upcoming event query, and variable event invitation information within portals. So, exports, filters, and joins. Independent subquery exports are used to portray data that is not directly correlated to the initial base, and we will see this in our communication example. Independent subquery filters work to filter down and reduce computations when utilizing two independent subqueries, which we will see in our query example. And then independent outer joins reduce the redundancies when creating multiple independent subqueries within one original query, which we will also see within our query example. So now that we have this base understanding of independent subqueries, we can now use these to enhance our event communications, queries, and portals. Starting up with enhancing our event communications, we can utilize independent subqueries and dictionary outputs to create upcoming campus event newsletters. These can serve as one-offs or as sections of a recurring newsletter for students. So before we dive into the use case, I do want to take a minute and talk about the dictionary output. The dictionary output creates a loop of exports that iterates through itself until no new values exist. In our example here on the right-hand side, we've changed the output from rank, as it typically is, to dictionary. This opens up the row limit, as well allows us to select multiple exports. In this example, we can see that we are exporting a form title, a form start date and time, and a literal statement. And so whenever we preview the results for this dictionary output, we need to take a minute and really think about what the definition of is for the dictionary output, and that will help us read the preview results. So with the dictionary output, each object is put in a row tag. Each export for the object and each property for the object is put in a p tag. In each p tag, the export's name is put in a k tag, and the export's value is put in a v tag. So we can see here from this row preview that with the dictionary output, we are opening up our row tag, opening up our p tag, and then opening up our k tag. And that k tag is the export's name, in this case, form title. At which point we then open up the v tag, which is the export's value. And in this example, the form title's value is tell us about your training experience. At which point we then close the v tag and move on to our form start date and time, which does not have any start date value. So we're going to then once close that k tag and then move on to our literal statement, which is a new k tag, followed by the end of our literal statement, which closes the k tag. If the value does not exist, there will be no v tag. So we now have this base understanding of a dictionary output, and we have a base understanding of our independent subqueries. So if we're starting the person base, we can now use this independent subquery to go out and grab information about upcoming forms, in this case, events, that students have not yet registered for. Because the student has not yet registered for this form, in our case, an event, there's no way under typical circumstances to get these two bases to meet. However, with the independent subquery, we're able to bypass that. Now, a few important factors to take note of is that when you are using an independent subquery, you need to be very specific, in particular with your filters. This is because currently, within this subquery, we are pulling on the form base and everything inside of the form base. So with our filters, we are going to filter on a status of confirmed or active forms, forms that are in a specific folder, in this case, our testing on-campus form. And then we also have a subquery filter. And within that filter, we will compare the form date to the current date. We will make sure that the form date is always after the current date so that we are not pulling on any events that have happened in the past. So we've looked at our row previews, we have built out the subquery export with our independent subquery and our dictionary statement, and now we can take a look at the WYSIWYG view. But now that we're here at the actual WYSIWYG view, we can see that there's still quite a bit of information that we're really missing. So if we go a bit deeper, here in the source view is where we're actually going to build out the functionality of that dictionary statement. So we can see in the top row that we're going to open up with a for result in on campus. That result is the assigned object name for our dictionary export to be called upon. So for the remainder of this dictionary export for loop, whenever we have a merge field that starts with result dot, which is our object name, the source will know that this is pulling specifically from that subquery export. So within the source view, we will assign an object name to our dictionary export to be called upon. And then from here, because we're in the source, we can utilize unique CSS techniques we may want, including bold, color, bullet points, links, and more. And now from the final view with everything populated, we can see that based on the total number of row limits chosen, up to that amount of events will be displayed. It is recommended in this case to split up on campus, off campus, and any school-specific events into different sections. When there are no longer any available events, conditional logic can be built within the source to remove the HTML encasing that section and remove empty content without needing to actually stop the mailing. So in this example, if our last off-campus event is March 24th, 2024, we can encase that entire section of HTML in conditional logic to completely remove that from the mailing on March 25th. Moving forward, we are now working with our event queries. So by utilizing independent subquery joins, counselors can view students at upcoming high school or university visits. Because we are pulling student information as both an export and a filter from this independent subquery, we will want to reduce computations by starting our compiling from the subquery outer join. We've had the ability to create something very similar to this in a local high school visit query base before. However, we are now able to expand this to colleges for our transfer events, as well as recreate the high school visit queries in a new configurable join. So we're going to specifically focus on transfer visits, but college fairs, high school visits, and virtual high school visits are all still in play. So right away, we're taking a look inside of our community college visit in 14 days exactly subquery join of the independent subquery type. So once again, we are starting within the typical person base for the entirety of our query. And within the subquery join, we're going to focus in on that form. And within the forms, we're going to focus in on the events. So with our joins, we're going to independently join to the form base and then join from the form base to the location dataset record. We're also going to join from our person base to school by level of study rank, and then school by level of study rank over to organizations. We can utilize dependent joins even on our independent subqueries within our subquery joins. And this is a very powerful tool. So very similar to our event mailing, we will have to choose a start date that is after the system date. In this case, we did today plus 14. We'll want to use a status of confirmed and active, and we'll want to focus down on a template or a folder, in this case, community college template. However, there's one more key factor, and that is our org school is student school subquery filter. As we enter inside the subquery filter, we can see that we are once again going to use a comparison statement, although this time slightly differently from our form start date versus system date. Here, we're going to create a connection from our independent join, which is the form, to our original base, which is the person. This will severely cut down on computations from this outer join. And by matching the organization's GUID from the person record to the location dataset record GUID from the form, we will only be able to export and filter on those that fit the specific criteria. And so when we compile this outer join together, this allows us to pull in the information of students who currently attend an organization GUID that matches a dataset form GUID. From here, not only can you utilize this as just a query for counselors to use, but you can also compile and create mailing lists, call campaigns, counselor SMS, or just prepare for upcoming travel. And then lastly, we're going to talk about event portals. This section was originally created by Clinton Midkiff from Cleveland State University. By utilizing independent subquery joins, dictionary statements, and the coalesce output, students can have personalized visit opportunities based on their application status. On the left-hand side, as we begin to dig into the subquery export named events, we can see that we are using the coalesce statement. The coalesce statement will run through the exports starting from top to bottom, and if a value exists within the exports, that value will be chosen as rank 1 and is the only export value taken. So in this case, we have admitted events first, followed by open house events if there are no values within the admitted events. As we dive a bit deeper and look into our admitted events, we can see that once again, we are going to create an independent subquery in the related category to the form base. Within here, very similar again as to before, we're going to pull in the exports of title, start, and a URL so that the student can click directly into the registration form. However, with the filters, we are now able to filter back on the related information from the student application. So here we're going to select that we only show these events for students with an admit decision. And here we will also filter down on our folders of on-campus and admitted student events with a start date after today. And so for students that have not yet been admitted, they would see this on their portal, where it shows them opportunities for a fall visit day. And for students that have already been admitted, they would see this set of registration options on their portal. Clinton did include as well a short video actually going through their application portal. And we can see here at the bottom that this is where the students would be able to see whether they had a typical fall visit day opportunity or whether it would be for admitted students. We did include some resources so you can do your own research on independent subqueries, dictionary outputs, and outer joins as well. Thank you once again for listening in. My name is Brett Bieber. Again, thank you to Clinton Midkiff for this presentation with me at the 2024 Slate Summit. Thank you.